In this video, you'll see the construction of a massive, legendary castle inside a factory or warehouse made entirely of iron. All of this was built without any team, companies, or support, and it cost only about $7,500. These two young men are passionate about construction and have a deep love for both old and new tools. They constantly keep up with the latest trends in the field, and they thought, why not? We can use all our experience and build our castle ourselves. That's where the story began. Let's see together the challenges they faced in achieving their dream and how they overcame them. Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to join the Craft Wilder DIY family. So, let's get started. First, they chose the location for their castle, which was in the rural area, and determined the area they would build on. This is where the real work began. The wood they would use for the castle arrived, and they immediately started dismantling and cutting it to the required dimensions. Then they cut the wooden planks to size. They cut the wood in a cross-shaped pattern, with the main beams underneath and the planks stapled to the beams above. This very cohesive design ensures the wood is strong. After stapling and joining it together, a crane came and lifted it. Because of its immense weight, the first wall of the palace's foundation was formed. However, it wasn't stable, so they secured it firmly with nails. They then continued lifting the rest of the wood, which would form the main support structure. The columns bear the weight of the house, and the horizontal supports provide stability and strength to the structure, also acting as a base for the walls. These columns are treated with special chemicals to protect them from insects, mold, and moisture, and also increase the wood's depth. They continued strengthening the structure to ensure the palace is stable and solid, capable of supporting the weight of the roof and all other loads without any tilting or sagging. Now they will pour the roof structure, which will be triangular in shape and called a gable. This helps drain water and rain easily and adds space inside the palace itself. It also gives the palace a very beautiful look from the outside. Not only that, but it also gives the house more strength and stability because the triangle prevents any movement or tilting of the wood. To raise this wood and ensure it is securely fastened with nails, they used a specific method, which saved them a lot of effort and time. After pouring the roof structure, they temporarily fixed it to make sure it is properly aligned. After confirming that the gable is correctly aligned, they began securing it permanently with nails. Now they moved on to a new step, which is reinforcing the roof with wooden planks fixed to the heart of the supports, which provides a solid base for the roof itself and protects the palace from rain and weather before installing the final covering. After that, they made the window frames initially and installed them at the window locations according to the original design. They secured them very well with nails. After determining the window positions, they began installing wooden panels on the walls. These would act as the outer skin of the palace, covering the wooden structure. They added rigidity and strength to the walls and protected the house from future leaks. After these panels were installed on the foundation, they were secured with nails and laid according to a specific pattern to maintain their stability. They covered the gaps between the panels with black tape. They were very careful while installing the panels to ensure that the joints were not directly above each other on the same line to prevent cracking or weakness in one area. They also didn't stop at the top of the roof. They continued to the edge of the roof to install a small metal piece. This piece diverted rainwater away from the palace itself. After they had covered all the walls with wooden panels, they obtained the metal sheets, cut them, and adjusted them as desired. Exactly, they installed them on the edge of the roof and fixed them with adhesive and nails, strong and secure. This gives a stronger grip to the roof and prevents it from shaking or disintegrating. After that, they lined the entire roof with these second metal panels, which gave the roof strength and safety, and they began fastening these panels with adhesive tape. This tape is made of a rubber material, insulating against water and air, and they also used nails here. They finished the entire roof. They covered the place that connects the two sides of the roof to each other, the tip of the triangle. They covered it with adhesive and installed it. The metal panels are in the opposite direction of the rest of the panels, and they fixed them well and strong. Now, after they locked the entire palace from the outside and left it ready, the palace's turn came from the inside, and what they would encounter was a lot of work. Of course, the first thing that would be done is the floor. And for it, they brought a large mixer. This mixer reached the palace from the inside in order to pour the concrete on the floor, and here they needed workers. To help them, the concrete mixer poured the concrete and they worked behind it, spreading it evenly across the entire floor to make it smooth and level. This concrete is the foundation upon which the entire interior of the building rests. Because the palace is very large, the flooring took a great deal of time and effort. It took a lot of time and effort until they were able to finish it. After the floor dried, they used a special spraying machine to apply a high-quality sealing material to protect it from dust and water. This material also protected the interior of the building. Then they applied insulating tape to the walls and attached a metal sheet to this tape so that it would support the cladding. They began covering the walls one by one with the cladding you see here, securing it with nails until they reached a certain point in the wall. They then placed a barrier and secured it with nails. After that, they made an opening in the wall and applied a flux around the opening. This flux acts like a small waterproofing layer. Its function is to prevent water from reaching the concrete or walls. In the opening they made, they installed the first door with hinges and screws. After testing it and finding it perfect, they added an exterior frame, which looks very impressive. Then they continued covering this stonework up to the door. On top of the clouding on the rest of the wall, they covered it with a reinforcing mesh. This prevents cracking and provides stability to the outer layer. On top of that, they installed these panels, placing them vertically and securing them very well with screws. They did this for all the exterior walls of the palace. After installing the main panels, they continued with the finishing work. The finishing touches include the lettering and the frames around the openings. Now, inside the palace itself, the waterproofing foam had dried, and it was time to continue the work inside. The first thing they did was install wooden frames, cover them with white wax, and seal the openings. Then they removed the excess material and anything that had fallen onto the walls. The floor is made of foam, and they'll start building the walls that will be inside the palace itself. First, they build the wall framework. Before cutting any wood, they made sure their plans were very precise, so everything would go smoothly. They also carefully planned the locations of electrical and plumbing lines, pipes, and air conditioning. They completed all the internal wiring to avoid any problems, which could be disastrous later. Then they built the first wall inside the structure. Now, pay close attention because the next stage is the most crucial part of everything we're talking about. They lay the wood pieces side by side on the floor, and after fastening them all together with nails, they raise the wall and secure it to the floor from below. Then they apply insulation material and continue building the rest of the walls in the same way. They attach large wooden boards to the wooden framework, and the insulation material continues as well. Then they are installing supports on top of the ceiling of the room. They fix them very well with nails. We're currently working on the interior design and partitions of the palace. For the large, heavy pieces, they're using these smaller ones. The work is progressing very smoothly, and there's a clear harmony between them. Above the supports, they installed compressed wood panels, or kantok, which are better than regular panels. They cut them side by side with great precision and fixed them firmly. In a spacious area, they took a large wooden beam and placed both of them together in their designated spot, attaching more supports to it. This space will be a large room. After that, they paneled the rest of the space with compressed wood panels and went up to the ceiling. They started installing these wooden panels between the wooden beams in the ceiling. They'll build a second floor in the same way as the first, dividing the entire space with wood according to the design. This design creates very large spaces, and the palace is very spacious inside. Now they're opening up the spaces for the windows, and this is the best place for the windows. First, they stick a thin insulating film around the entire opening. Then they install the ready-made windows that have spaces for the window frames, ensuring they are securely fastened. After installing these frames, they stick another thin insulating film around them. The windows on the second floor inside the palace are installed with the help of the neighbors. From the outside, they cut the openings, installed the windows, and sealed them with black tape. They did this for all the windows, large and small. They decided to build a very large veranda in front of the house, which would make the palace look simpler and more beautiful. They fixed small metal pieces to the ground and cut the wood they would use for the veranda, starting to place it in its designated spot. This veranda will act as an intermediate area between the palace and the garden, surrounding the entire house. They will make its roof a gable roof like the rest of the palace. After installing the wooden columns and removing all the excess, they clad it with boards. The wooden beams are the same as the rest of the palace, and they'll continue working on this throughout the entire veranda structure until the palace is completely finished. For the ceiling, they install wooden supports, leaving spaces between each one, unlike the existing ceiling beams which had very small gaps. This is because the ceiling needs to be stable and bear the weight well, while also looking good and elegant. The veranda columns are fixed to the walls using special geometric joints to achieve the best possible appearance. Then they proceeded to complete the ceiling structure, attaching the wooden panels to these beams, thus finishing the ceiling. Inside the veranda, they added the final finishing touches. For the final touches, they installed a metal ceiling, securing it very well with screws. This covers all the wood in the ceiling, and its advantage is that it resists the elements. Its smooth finish gives the veranda a modern look and increases its durability. They also installed flashing tape along the edges to prevent damage. Water seeped into the walls previously, and that would have been the end of it. Once finished, the place had become safe and durable. Now they'll go back inside the palace itself. The first thing they'll do is the staircase that will connect the 2 floors. But this staircase isn't just a means of going up and down. It has been designed very carefully. To blend in with the open plan layout of the house, the first thing they did was work on the sides of the staircase, where all the steps would be placed. After installing them, they brought the wide wooden planks and started installing the steps one by one. After that, they installed the railings. After they fixed all the columns and supports inside the structure, they'll start pouring the final walls. The first thing they do is cover the wooden frame and insulation with wide wooden planks, securing them with nails. They cut the planks to the exact dimensions they need. Then, they'll go back and finish the veranda ceiling and cover it with metal panels, like the rest of the structure. After installing the ceiling, they pay close attention to the lettering and finishing touches because these details transform the space. In one area, where there was a concrete slab, they built a wooden frame of columns and supports. They also made its ceiling in a triangular shape and sealed the gaps between the panels with black masking tape. There was a door that wasn't properly constructed, so they applied insulating masking tape and added a molding. They also applied decorative cladding to the walls. Where there was a faucet, they took the existing tile and reshaped it so that the faucet would fit into the opening. They also added new window moldings and continued working to finish all the remaining work on the palace. They haven't finished yet, so they can complete all the remaining work before moving on to the interior. There was also a section of the palace that hadn't been finished on the exterior, so they worked on it here. After installing the reinforcement mesh, they fixed the wooden panels vertically, and on top of that, they installed the window frames and ceiling moldings, securing them all with nails. Now that they had finished that part, they went inside the palace, where they had already installed the plumbing, water system, and the entire ceiling. Now, they would close the ceiling with white wooden panels and insulate it with a sealant. Inside the ceiling, they installed metal strips to support the second floor ceiling panels, which were white metal. They secured them very well with nails and covered the entire floor with them. They also built the remaining staircases that would be included in the cut, creating the sides and the space for the treads. Then they made the hallway railing with a wooden frame and metal in the middle, continuing the railing to the end in the same style. On top of it, they placed a wooden board, and underneath as well, securing it very well. This gave the railing a strong, elegant look. They didn't leave it as is. They smoothed the wooden board, making it very smooth.
After that, they brought a small bookcase and placed it in a corner of the room. They placed drawers next to it and secured them. They all worked together with the walls and hung 2 more doors on the wall. They also installed a large cabinet with 1 door. In the kitchen, they focused intently on preparing the space for the sink, the hoses, and the water inlet. After fixing it, they installed the sink and poured brown plywood for the rest of the kitchen's foundation. They brought a large marble countertop and installed it. They covered the entire ceiling with metal panels. On the floor itself, they installed brown furniture, showcasing the professionalism of the work throughout the entire palace. They installed the room doors and made several pieces to be installed on the windows from the inside and also to be used as door frames. The palace was built and ready after a full year of work and continuous effort. They finished the wall panels, cornices, and doors, creating a harmonious and very luxurious look. Inside, there's a very large space divided into many rooms: a laundry room with a full bathroom, an art room, an office, and a large bedroom with 2 bathrooms. There's also a very spacious hall overlooking the kitchen with a bathroom to the side. Of course, there are windows designed to the highest standard, and the storage room is equipped with many shelves. All of this is just for now, and we haven't even reached the second floor yet, which has a very large hall that could be used for many other purposes. So if you like the idea of the palace shaped like a warehouse, I'd appreciate it if you could tell me a major reason why they did it this way. It's a cost-effective idea because this style is made entirely of wood, so the cost is much lower. Anyway, please tell me what you liked most about this house in the comments and what videos you'd like to see next. And check out one of these two videos. You'll love them.